friends, Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, we're going to take a look at one of the wildest parts of the tech poi movement of the late 2000s, that is the atomic weave. But before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Fire Mecca, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all of these awesome companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I have down in the description of this video. And special thanks to the non-business friends of the channel, Leigh Muchinsky and Pekha Pekkonen. Thank you both so much for supporting my channel, my work, and my mission. So atomic weaves are part of what was kind of a weird little tangent of the tech poi world in the late 2000s and the early 2010s. Basically, you got a lot of people that decided that they were going to take all these things that they had been learning in wall plane and wheel plane and trying to see what would happen if they operated under the assumption that the two poi didn't have to be in the same plane at the same time. This actually is not as strange an idea as it might sound. As it turns out, a lot of things that we do with poi work in multiple different planes, and when you put them together, they surprisingly still hold together too. Now, it does need to be said that there are multiple poi tricks that count as atomic weaves. For instance, this right here was the first atomic weave that I ever encountered. My friend Christian actually showed me this one way back in, I want to say it was November of 2007. It was also the first poi trick I saw that ever broke my brain, and if you look carefully at it, you'll see that it's just a variation on a buzzsaw weave. If you want something that is more traditional, we also have this variation on an atomic weave right here, which, depending upon the angle that you view it at, either looks like it is in split time opposites or split time same direction. However, the atomic weave that I want to focus on is this number right here, the one that involves combining together a vertical plane and a horizontal plane. Why is that the variation I want to focus on? Well, mainly because I think it just produces the most interesting results and certainly the easiest ones to teach, but also because I've been on kind of a toroid kick lately, and I have to say that having the plane presented on angle to the audience and working with a vertical and a horizontal is something that I'm just really digging right now. If you'd like to see tutorials on any of the other variations, leave me a comment and let me know, and maybe I'll do a follow-up. So the first thing we need to understand here is that each hand is responsible for one single plane orientation, but otherwise the movement of it is identical to what we would find in a normal 3-beat weave. I'm going to have my left hand performing a 3-beat weave in a vertical wheel plane orientation. So it's going to perform 2 beats over on my right side and 1 beat over on my left side. You'll note this also makes it work in such a way that you always see the plane on end from the perspective of the audience. Now, my right hand is going to be hanging out in a horizontal kind of place, and is going to be tempting to have it work in something that feels roughly like a corkscrew, doing a beat over and a beat under. And there is actually a way to do an atomic weave like this, but it feels very lopsided to me. Instead, what I want you to do is go ahead and perform 2 beats on top and 1 beat on the bottom. 2 beats up top and 1 beat on the bottom. If this feels a little strange and lopsided, it is because when we get into a horizontal plane, we're dealing with an orientation where doing a 2-beat weave feels more symmetrical, as opposed to when we're working in vertical planes where 3 beats feels more symmetrical. It's just kind of baked into that. All right, so the next step is we're just going to perform a normal 3-beat weave. First, here in wheel plane, this should feel very familiar and comfortable. If you don't already know how to do a 3-beat weave, I'll go ahead and include a link to a tutorial on how to do that down in the description, as well as up here in the cards if you're watching on YouTube. Get in 10 reps like this, because the next step is things are going to get kind of weird. All right, so our next step here is that you're actually going to take your upper body and you're going to tilt it just slightly over to your right. And from this orientation, I want you to try and perform a 3-beat weave that is even with the angle that your upper body is keeled over at. Hopefully something like a 45-degree angle here. Now you're going to find that you're going to have to fight a little bit to get both of the poi over to your left-hand side, because they're also working against gravity, and they're going to have an easier time sinking down to the right side because they're working with gravity. And that's exactly what this should feel like. Again, see if you can get in 10 reps like this, adjusting the angle of the planes in order to match the angle of your upper body. All right, so next, we're gonna go ahead and move our perspective completely over to the side. This is gonna feel a little uncomfortable, but we don't need to stay here for too terribly long. Again, I want you to try and see if you can get in a 3-beat weave with your perspective turned completely over to the side. And now it's gonna start to feel a lot like a corkscrew, but a kind of odd corkscrew because you're doing 2 beats with one hand on top and 2 beats with the other hand on bottom. But other than that, you should still have some knowledge here in terms of how the 3-beat weave should feel as you're going back and forth here. All right, so we're gonna start to put together the pieces incrementally here. I want you to go ahead and perform your vertical 3-beat weave here in wheel plane once again, and I want you to notice this point where the right hand is going underneath the left hand. You get a little upbeat by the right hand poi there. If I show you this from the side, it happens right there. Something different is going to happen here. Namely, as that right hand poi is going under, rather than poking the poi up, you're going to pull it across. You're going to do a little kind of move over to the right hand side. It's going to sweep past your face as you move both hands over to the left. So it changes from this to this, and then you can take it right back to a vertical place. So think it veers right, it veers right, it veers right as you go back and forth between these 2 locations. All right, so the next step is we're going to add more horizontal movement over here on the right-hand side. So we've already got the right hand kind of veering over and then switching back into a vertical plane over here on the right-hand side. What if instead of doing that popping up in the vertical plane, we instead let the right hand poi sweep underneath both hands? Let me show you. So we veer over, we sweep under. We veer over, we sweep under. Veer over, sweep under. Veer over, sweep under. Once we've done this, it's going to feel pretty natural to keep the poi in a horizontal plane, even when it moves over the left-hand poi. So the thing to bear in mind as we're doing this is that the right hand is actually still performing the function of a 3-beat weave. It just happens to be doing it in a horizontal plane. As it turns out, we can just decide that we're going to, boom, flip one of the planes over, and the movements underlying the 3-beat weave still fundamentally work. When you start to get this down, one of my favorite things to do with it is actually to make it travel just a little bit. You can make the poi go over and under your hands as you move them around in space, and basically turn this into almost like a box pattern that you're tracing out as you go around. Pretty cool, huh? If you're finding that that right-hand plane is going off on more of a diagonal than a horizontal, hey, you're not the only one who's been there. I've had that problem too. Here's how you can start to correct for it. The first thing to realize is that this is going to take more articulation from your right wrist than you're used to. Where your left hand really doesn't have that much work to do, your right hand now has to trace out a much more smooth path in order to make these horizontal planes work. Here's what to watch out for. Number one, when you get to that point over on your right-hand side, when the right-hand poi is underneath your hand, you really want to make sure that your fingers are pointing down towards the floor. You can always think of the plane that the poi is moving in as being like a wheel, and your thumb and forefinger, especially if you're using the key grip like I'm using here, is kind of like the axle of that wheel. So whichever direction those 2 fingers are pointing in, that is the direction perpendicularly that the plane is going to wind up in. So really think that you're pointing your thumb and forefinger down and your thumb and your forefinger up as you're moving back and forth. That is going to help clarify those planes and really, really, really help to make this look beautiful. There is also one other variation that involves kind of reaching the right hand over around underneath the left wrist, like this. A lot of people like this, myself included, because it kind of balances out the movement of the right hand. Now that we're moving in horizontal planes, it helps to add that extra beat on bottom to make this corkscrew-like motion feel just a little bit more balanced out. Because again, when we're working in horizontal planes, things that have even beats feel even, whereas when we're working in vertical planes, things that have odd beats feel more even. So it is an option here. I have mixed feelings about it myself, but you can definitely play around with it if you'd like to. Cool, so there you go. Let me leave you with a little bit of POV footage so you can see what this looks like from where you are. Also, if you dig the poi I was using in this video, and why wouldn't you, because they are absolutely gorgeous, these are fabric sock poi made by a company called Sock Poi that was started by poi educator Katya Stakhanova. You can get a pair for yourself over at sockpoi.store, and if you use the promo code DREXFACTOR, you can get 5% off your order, plus which it helps out the channel. So go add some socks to your life and find the joy in them. Yeah? Did you get anything out of this video? Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to help other people find it and to help my channel grow. This video would not be possible were it not for the kind support of all of these awesome people right here. These are my Flow patrons over on Patreon. They and the people listed down in the description help to make this video and all the videos on this channel possible. Even better, they voted to make this video one that I would produce, so you owe them a debt of thanks, as do I. If you out there watching are not currently a supporter but would like to become one, you can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and signing up. There you can get access to a whole host of awesome rewards, but even better than that, you'll be helping me out in my mission to bring poi spinning and flow arts to the whole wide world. So go check that out. Please and thank you. And if you would like to check out some of my other videos on 3D poi concepts, including things like plane breaking and toroids, I will go ahead and leave a link to a playlist of those videos down in the description, as well as up here on screen if you're watching on YouTube. Also, the YouTube algorithm thinks that you might like this top video here based upon your past viewing habits, so maybe give that a look as well. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to get out and flow today, and I'll see you with a new video real soon. Peace.